Hey guys, welcome to Rihanna's Lens, where I interact with you about the components in the STEM field and introduce you to fascinating people who passionately inhabit the scientific and technical frontiers of our society. My name is Rihanna Malhotra and I'm absolutely elated to share this podcast with all of you. On this episode, I'm joined by a guest who's a doctoral student at Pepperdine University with an interest in studying language and school segregation policies. She's also a teacher and works to help find workshops for teachers to attend on diversity and equity. I'm so glad to welcome and introduce Brittney. Thank you so much for coming on. I can't wait to begin our discussion.
Yes, thank you for having me. I really appreciate you giving me this time.
Thank you. I'm so excited to talk to you, especially about your doctoral journey and what actually drove you to become a teacher. So let me begin by asking you, what motivated you to get into this field?
So I would say my mom, if we're just going from the start of it all. My mom is also in education, and just watching her be able to touch so many people's lives. And, I'll go into the grocery store sometimes or to the gym and they're like, "Are you her daughter? I love her. She's so sweet." Or I remember her being in her computer lab, and just being able to see the positive effect that she had in the lives of students. And that was just something I wanted as well. Volunteering in classrooms was great. And, helping her in PTA events was always fun. But I really love the relationships I was able to build and the way I was able to encourage students. And I think that just pushed me to want to work in the field of education in some capacity. So short answer, my mom. Yeah, she's the best. And it was just great to see how great other people saw her as.
Yeah, that's awesome. I also think that our mothers are our first inspiration towards everything. So knowing that she was your inspiration to get into this field is just awesome. Moving forward,
I love her.
Moving forward, what did your educational journey look like to get here?
So it was complicated, just to be completely honest. So I went into my bachelor's education at UC Santa Barbara as a biology major. Ever since I was little, I wanted to be a dentist. That was just that's what it is. That's what it's going to be. And when I started taking these biology classes and calculus, I was like, wow, I really don't enjoy this. I really am not having a good time here. So I stopped taking my bio prereqs my second quarter, and just started venturing out. I took some Greek myth classes, some history classes, and I took a political science class, and I light bulbs just went off, and I was like, I enjoy this. I love this. I am passionate about this. And that's when my major switched. So I got my degree in political science and cultural linguistics, and was like, okay, now I'm going to go to law school and I'm going to do education law and make change there. And again, my sister, who's a lawyer, was like, do you actually want to be a lawyer? And I was like, I don't, but I want to create change. And I think that's the best way to do it, is to be a lawyer. And so after battling that, my mom comes into the picture now and was like, well, you love education work, you love students. Why don't you just be a teacher for a bit and see what it's like to be on the ground? And who doesn't listen to their mom? So I was like, let's give it a shot. Let's give it a go. And then I ended up getting my master's in education and teaching credential, and started working in the schools. And I think it was some of the best advice my mom has ever given me, because I really was able, or still am able, to see the way policy works when you're actually in the classroom instead of how it's just written on paper. And just from those short few years in the classroom, I was just like, I'm going to get my doctorate. Like I have to, because I know the type of work I want to do. I know the type of research I want to look into. And I don't really see a point in waiting, honestly. So, although there were a couple of like old mentors that were like, just wait, don't do it yet. You need more experience and more time to work. I just felt ready to do it and excited to do it. So during our lockdown, I just was sending out applications, doing interviews, and was blessed enough to get into my Pepperdine program. And now we finished our first year. So I'm really, really excited about that for this month break we have. So yeah, there was a lot of different avenues and paths, but I'm definitely more confident and comfortable and happy in the route that I ended up taking. Yeah, so a lot of change in the path to get here.
Yeah, wow, what a journey from dentistry to law to education. It's just a whole different sector, but you finally got onto your path, so that's awesome.
Yes, it finally all made sense.
And how has your experience been as a doctoral student so far?
So far, it has been wonderful. I feel like I have learned so much. I don't even know what else could fit into my brain. And I think I've also just enjoyed having my cohort members there and honestly being the youngest in my group as of right now, because I feel like I've just been able to see so many different types of experiences from other people in my cohort, and have like their knowledge kind of brush off on me. My classes have, I don't know, it was really interesting starting during quarantine time, because I never met any of my cohort members in person until this summer, and none of my teachers, and the school was adjusting to an online model. But overall, I think that the courses I've taken have really helped to broaden my worldview and honestly kind of make me feel like I know less than I thought I did, which is humbling and exciting at the same time. Just working on courses for leadership and policy on the local and national level, how to teach teachers, how to view myself as a leader and change maker. So I just feel like this year has just been like a flood of information into my brain, but also such it's been overwhelming, but very exciting and encouraging to like make me thirst to learn more, because I'm like, wow, I don't know anything. How did I make it this far without knowing this piece about my field or this part about quantitative research? So yeah, overwhelming and excited is just kind of the two words that can explain my time in the program so far.
Yeah, well, being a first year student, of course, there'll be a lot of things being pushed onto you, like too much information. And true, as you said, that COVID really changed our world around. Everything was online. I never even imagined that we would be talking over Zoom calls and we'd be having classes, especially over Zoom.
Yes. Oh my gosh, the classes. And it was so interesting trying to like meet the people in my cohort and like learn the type of person they are over Zoom, and like because you don't have that natural like classroom flow where someone like yells out something funny, or I don't know, the teacher is able to like come back faster without cutting someone off with unmute and mute. So it was an interesting dynamic, but I kind of think it made my cohort a lot closer because we tried a lot more to have like little sessions online where we just like hung out and talked and got to know each other. So some good parts about it, definitely.
Right, I completely agree. While it was hard socializing online, but I think people started to try harder because now everything's online and you can't really interact with the person face to face. So they started making online groups and chats. So that,
yes, I have like Discord chats and Facebook chats. So people were trying, and I did appreciate the effort given because now I feel like we are pretty close, which is great because I didn't realize how much I would need my cohort members to get through even just this first year.
Yeah, I totally agree. And you've also been teaching. So how has that experience been for you?
It has been great. I haven't been in just one grade throughout my teaching career. So I've done kindergarten, third grade, sixth grade, and then special education, high school, 9th through 12th grade. So I've kind of just been all over the place with these past couple of school years. But I definitely think that while it's been like such a crazy shift every year of what grade I'll be teaching, it has really helped me to become a better teacher, to learn how to actually be flexible and to be quick on my feet of thinking of new lesson plans or new ways to like meet the students where they are, especially when we were completely online during COVID, or when we switched to a hybrid model, when we started to come back a little bit near the end of the school year. It has just been really good experience for me personally, switching these grades and getting this different type of experience, whether it's in general population or special education or the older kids or the little kids. And I love the little kids, so that was a challenge for me personally. But I love teaching. I think that it honestly is like the calling for me. I love seeing my kids every morning, and it's like I don't have my own kids, so I'm like, you are my kids and I love them so much. And just being able to, I don't know, just encourage them, not only academically, but socially and emotionally, and just be like a person that can check on them, make sure they feel represented in their classroom, because who knows what classroom they're going to next. So just knowing that I have the ability to bring some sort of like confidence building and joy and happiness and like to an extent like friendship into this student's life is just my favorite thing. So I've had a great time being a teacher so far.
Yeah, that's great. And especially that you're so driven towards what you wanted to do since forever. So it's great that you're pursuing your dream.
Yes, I've never been a dentist, but I think it's better for me than being a dentist. I talk way too much and I'm way too like all over the place to, I think, just sit in the chair and be like, hi, how you doing? So I think this worked out for the best.
Yeah, I get what you mean. And teaching students, you can really interact with them, and they won't really mind what you're saying because they're students after all. They're open for good interactions anytime.
They are. They're the best. And like half the time they say things to me and I'm like, oh, like I never thought about that. Some kids are just, they ask the craziest questions and I'm like, I genuinely never thought of that, but it kind of is a good point. So it's also nice to learn from them or even just get a laugh from them half the time. So I love it. I really do love it.
Yeah, true, completely. And also in the future, would you like to switch between grades or stick to a particular one? And what course would you like to teach?
So in the future, I mean, I'm currently in second grade and I think I would love to stay in second grade. I think it's the perfect middle ground for me of little babies and kind of upper elementary. So I really enjoy teaching social studies and grammar. So if I had my choice, that's kind of where I would love to be for the next couple of years as I teach. But who knows? Because I also am really, really interested in trying to teach in higher education as well. Once I complete my research, and if I can work a course into something valuable, I would love to teach in higher ed and help future educators or future organization leaders, future policymakers. Who knows? I just know that in some capacity, I do want to be teaching people and helping people of all ages, because I definitely think you can learn at any age, just a matter of how you're taught. So we'll see. I don't really know what the future has for me yet.
Yeah, well, it's a whole journey, but currently you're with second graders, so um, you can really talk to them and even learn from them. Like usually there's the
Yes.
stereotype that older people are supposed to teach the younger ones, but sometimes even kids say stuff that you didn't even know about, and you're like, oh, wait, that exists too. Oh, okay.
Yes, definitely. I think that's like the biggest part about teaching. It's like you have to be able to humble yourself enough to like really understand that your kids can teach you just as well. And honestly, you should want to learn from your kids, or else I feel like you become like that old teacher on campus that everyone's like, oh gosh, I don't want her because she's just so mean and old. And like, I don't want to be that teacher. So I think it's really important to see the value in what kids know, because they are really smart without us. We're just scooting them along the way, giving some structure to what they know. So I just, yeah.
Definitely. And this must be one of the most rewarding aspects for you. And is there anything else that you really enjoy about teaching?
Hmm. I, you know, it seems so like it is very like small thing, but I really enjoy just like the other teachers on campus. Like I said, I am fairly new into teaching still. And so just like seeing and hearing how like teaching has changed or how people have changed, or honestly, there's a lot of like, there's always like little chatter that happens in schools as well. So kind of being in the mix of what's going on with teachers is always fun and exciting. There's always like new information going on, or like this person said this, or did you hear what the PTA did, or the principal? So it's like I'm in like a TV show sometimes, and I really do enjoy that. And I also really love decorating my classroom. I know that's, I don't even know if that counts as a part of teaching really, but I really, really enjoy like decorating my classroom and letting like the kids in the beginning of the year come in and draw their little design so that they feel like they're a part of the process of like making the classroom feel like theirs. Yeah, I don't know. I really just love my kids, and that's just my favorite part about teaching. And it kind of just branches into like all the other pieces of what I do.
Yeah, well, the teaching is always good, but the gossip in the staff room, that's always a plus.
Fun. I'm like, oh my goodness, is this what was going on when I was in school? Like, there's like, I never have anything to say, but I'm just like, wow, that happened. That's crazy. Like, I love it.
Yeah,
I'm sure that
I wonder that as well. Do teachers actually gossip about us students in the staff room, or
we
okay,
do.
or is it
We
just
do.
us?
We
Okay,
do. It works both
now I
ways.
know the insider secrets.
Yes. We're like, oh, we just love that one kid. He's the best. Yes. There's there's always a lot going on in this school, but it's always fun, and all the people I work with have just like the biggest hearts. So I it's just really fun. It's I did not think I would enjoy teaching as much as I do. I was so against it. I was like, oh my goodness, mom, I cannot be a teacher. I don't want to be a teacher. And now I just couldn't imagine not being a teacher.
Yeah, that's so cool. And you're also interested in the STEM fields. So,
Mhm.
why do you think more people should join these fields, and why should there be more diversity in these fields?
Oh my goodness. What a question. Well, I mean, I think there should be more diversity because we need it. I mean, if there's just like simply put, if one person is in charge, well, I mean, not even simple. Like if we look to our history and there's only one particular group leading the research or teaching that is done in a particular area, nothing is challenged, nothing grows, and I think we're very limited, not just educationally but politically and socially. I think that when we lack diversity in any field, but right now in STEM, um, I think there's more opportunity for the spreading of misinformation. There's an opportunity for skewed data. I think, and I think it's another way to just stop new research from taking place, new ideas from coming in. I mean, if we did not have more diversity, if we didn't have more women, how many studies on women would be done? How many would be conducted if there were less people of color in the field of STEM? How would we be able to see how, I don't know, who would be the person in the room saying, but how does, for example, this vaccine work on this population or this population? I think when you lack diversity, you lack outside perspective and insight into what's going on in other communities that you're not aware of because of lack of experience or lack of being a part of that community. So I just think it just gives us a greater ability to be a better society by having more diversity. And our world is only becoming more diverse and more open-minded. So I think if we're going to be building a skill set and trying to shape the way our leaders of tomorrow come up or the way our students learn, it's a setback to not have diversity in STEM. I'm sure anyone could talk forever about this because it's just like, yes, come on. We're limiting ourselves, I think, as a society by not doing so, I guess, to simply put it.
Yeah, definitely. And I think your authentic self is the best thing you can bring to the table. And like people from different cultures have different ideas. So restricting it to a particular set of people, that really won't bring a change in the world. And especially STEM fields, they are really important for us because now basically the people in STEM are the reason why there's change in the world to begin with. And especially with the technological advancement. So who knows that maybe someone from a different part of the country has different ideas that one person from another part of the country didn't even think of. So I completely agree with you about that.
Yes, you said it perfectly right there. That I think that is so true. Like, because in STEM, it seems so like rigid and like dry. Like that's always how I used to see STEM. But it's when, like how you said, when you bring your authentic self to it, like that's what brings like the life to it, because you see yourself in your research, you see other people in your research or in the information that you're providing. And that's what makes it so beautiful and nice. And it's like we need more of that, because that's helping on every single level, national, local, global. It's helping everyone from these diverse perspectives that are addressing these complex problems. Like, it's valuable talent that we're missing out on when we're closing off access to being a part of these fields.
Yeah, everyone has different skills to provide because each person is different on their own. And
exactly.
Speaking of which, were there any challenges that you faced being a member of the STEM fields?
Well, I think my first challenge was myself. Like I said, when I left like my bio major, I was like, okay, I hate math, hate science. How would I get to engineering if I hate math and science? But so I think the first challenge was me overcoming myself, of telling myself like, oh well, it's too much work, so you can't do it. Just do something else. Like, even though you're interested in it, just do something else. Because it's too hard, or there's no people that look like you there. So it's going to be another challenge or obstacle. So yeah, I think knowing and being confident in the ability and skill set that I have and what I have to offer was my first challenge that I needed to get over, to even apply to the programs or positions that I've held. And then I think I did face certain challenges. I think that everyone or of a historically excluded group may have experienced, of just feeling the need to like overperform because maybe you're the only like Black woman in the room, and you feeling the need to be like, well, I have to show that I like deserve to be here because my credentials that got me into the program aren't enough, or even just having some men in the room. I feel like so cliche for saying it, but it really happens. Like, me saying something and it being like dismissed, and then them saying the same exact thing, like maybe a little bit louder, and people being like, let's do that. That's what we need to do. And I'm like, what? Did you not hear me? So, just kind of feeling a bit left out or a bit overlooked or dismissed, honestly, was probably my another challenge that I faced of, women in STEM is already like been up and coming, or not up and coming, but is the conversation that we've been having for a long time of wanting to break down those barriers of pushing women towards STEM instead of saying like, oh, well, you go do your reading and writing and math and sciences for boys, but really opening access to that. And I think that when you add the other layer of being a person of color or your ability to that, it just adds on another layer of something else that other people think that you need to prove to them. So I think, yeah, it just comes full circle to just kind of knowing the skills that I have and the ability that I have and being like, you know what, this is what I have to offer. And if you don't like it, then I guess I'll just have to find another group or another pocket of people to research with. Yeah, because those challenges I think will always be there in some capacity. So I think just having the confidence in what you can do is probably, I guess, all you can do at the end of the day, to stay in the STEM field, at least in some organizations. Not every place is like that. I haven't been every place before.
Yeah, but I'm so glad that you broke all the boundaries and stereotypes and still did what you always dreamt to do. And also, it's really shocking that we're in the 21st century and there are still some people that um, discriminate women or just people of color. So that's really something that we still need to work on. It's not there yet.
Mm-hmm.
It is improving, but I still don't think it's there yet where it should be.
Right. Yes. And it's so interesting. I also used to think of that all the time because it's like especially for me, I'm like, we're in education, like we're, the leaders of teaching, understanding, and at least for elementary school and the foundations of like empathy and, we're in this together in community. And so as you see getting higher up in academia, there is this like internal conflict, I feel like, of elitist, classist, that just didn't make sense, but it would take so much time to just me rant about. But that was always super interesting to me because I felt like education is an opportunity, to learn and to accept and to grow. And we're still stuck in there, in that next step of growth and diversity and acceptance and awareness. So yeah, really interesting. Super interesting to me that that's still in the field that I'm in. I was biased and shocked.
And like you said, that in elementary, we learn all these values about empathy and caring for everyone, no matter their race or what gender they are. But like slowly throughout the way, some people just forget about it and don't remember what they learned in elementary, even though as kids, they must be deeply, they must be really deeply touched by those words. But then on the way, I don't know what happens and they forget about it. So that's something we really need to work on.
Yeah, there really is because it's so basic and so elementary. And I'm like a lot of times when I'm like watching the news or like reading policy, I'm like, or like reading people's interpretation of policy. I'm like, wow, I wish they were in my kindergarten class because if we could just review those like basic rules of caring for others and having empathy and seeing the value in other people, I'm like, I don't think a lot of these problems would be here. They're so basic. My kindergartners could fix the world in a minute. I know they could. So yeah, they just, I don't even know how to solve that one. Hopefully we'll figure it out.
I think we should get all those people in an elementary class and then we can just tell them to sit down and we can tell them to learn all these values all over again.
Yes. Yes, I will make a chart. I will be the first teacher willing to volunteer. I will do it for free. Really, I will. Because that sounds like a plan to me.
Yes, definitely. And lastly, what advice would you like to give to someone that wants to join the same field as yours?
Oh my goodness, I would say do it. Do it. Like, just do it. I didn't coin that. That's Nike. But I would say just do it. I think there's so much fear and hesitation, regardless of anything. Like, I don't even think, like, regardless of age, regardless of gender, ability, like race, ethnicity, I think there is like just so much fear in getting into higher education in general. The fear of, like, financial resources. I mean, I think I would just say that there are opportunities out there to help meet the needs that you may have in order to like achieve this goal or achieve this dream. So look into that, ask questions, reach out to people, like especially in this age of social media, like you have unlimited access to so many resources, and some people won't answer you and they suck, but other people are willing to help and willing to give you advice and encourage you. And so just do it. And I really think it'll pay off for the best. I mean, even if you stop and you're like, actually, I hate that, at least you tried. There'll be no regrets. But for me personally, I know that I am so blessed to have had people around me say, like, just go for it. Just try it. Worst case scenario, you're still teaching, doing what you like. And now I just finished my first year of my doctorate, and I'm really excited to start school again and to get into my dissertation proposal process. And I just like, just do it because it's going to pay off. And, like we've been saying earlier in this talk, everyone has something authentic to them that they can bring to the table. And if you don't bring it, then there's still that lack. So yeah, go ahead and do it. Just do it and you'll love it.
Thank you so much for that really good advice. That's it for today. Thank you so much for coming on. It has been a really good discussion and a great time talking to you and getting your insights.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much, and all the best with your teaching programs and teaching young kids. To let all of you know, this podcast is now available on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, RadioPublic, Breaker, and Google Podcasts. Make sure you subscribe to all listening platforms and stay tuned for more. Thank you so much, Brittney. Is there anything you'd like to say before we log off?
I just want to say thank you. I appreciated this time, and it was great talking to you as well.
Thank you so much, but I'll see you later. Bye-bye.